Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren Van Hemert from RDU on Stage, and I'm here with Tammy Matthews from I'm just going to say the Center for the Arts, because there's so much happening underneath that umbrella, which we are going to talk all about. And of course, if you have any questions, put them into the chat and we will get to them. I have a feeling you'll have a lot of fans. When I put out the thing that we were doing this, so many people said, "We love Miss Tammy. She's made such a difference in our lives, in our kids' lives." So I'm sure you'll have a fan club. But thank you for hanging out with me on a Friday night.
Thank you for asking me.
But we were going to start with Pittsboro Youth Theater Ensemble because that came first. So what was the impetus for starting that?
Well, I've been in theater for years, but I was mostly just teaching when I first moved here to North Carolina in 2010. And I met my partner, Craig, in 2012, and we moved to Pittsboro. And I was doing a lot of things in the schools. And Craig said, we should start a group in Pittsboro. In fact, we were out, there's a Frisbee golf course, and they had a little bitty stage, and they still have it there. And he said, "You should do something there." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if that's out in the middle of nature." And he said, "Well, no, we have to start a theater." And I said, "Oh, you're crazy. We can't do this." And 6 months later, we did. So
the ideas that are the best, right?
Yes, that's right.
And last time we spoke, we were really talking about Columbinus and this incredible production with Jacqueline. And Jacqueline actually won. We were talking about the Chatham Life and Style Awards prior to going on camera. She won an award for that production. You won an award. What I love about shows like Columbinus or like Heel 20, which you did last fall as a drive-in production, is that it really shows me that children's theater is evolving so much past the fairy tale theater productions that we see. And there's certainly a time and place for fairy tales, so don't come at me. But talk to me about children's theater and that evolution, because you've done so much challenging work as well as the fairy tales and lighter stuff.
Well, we start our kids at about age 6, and some of them stay with us for 6-7 years. So by the time they're 10 years old, they've done a lot of fairy tales. And so they start wanting meatier stuff. And we have a group that's been with us since 2013 or 14, and they push me and I want to do more. And I love to follow the kids and what their interests are. Some of them will bring me scripts, or I'll sometimes hand them a script and go read this and see if you're interested in this. And so they get involved, really heavily involved in the script choosing process when we get up to the middle school and the high school groups. And I think that's a big part that's really been wonderful for us, because some of the things they are interested in, I wouldn't know if we didn't just talk about it. And we have having sort of an ensemble of kids. We're always bringing in new kids, even at the high school level. We have a high school senior right now that's in his first show with us, and we love it. But there's a core group that stays with us, and they're the ones that Jackie's one of them, although she's at college now in Michigan. But until that, she really, she was one of the ones that I'd bounce ideas off and talk to and really know what she was interested in. I try to follow that.
Well, and don't you find, I think that's such a key part of it, and perhaps what differentiates what you're doing at Pittsboro Youth Ensemble is I feel like having the kids invested from the get-go, from the script choice, from the types of stories they want to be telling. I feel like when you do that just elevates the entire theater experience, not just for the families coming to see the show, but for the kids in the show. They become very invested in it.
Their heart is in it in a different way. It's not just about the show, but the performance. It's also about the message that they want to send to the world. And it evolves. It gets more and more like that as they get older, of course. But so, and a lot of them had a lot of training by then, so they can handle those things. I think it's really important. I try to make it really well-rounded too, so that kids, a lot of kids do want to go off, and we have a couple in college right now that are majoring in theater, and I want them to have a well-rounded experience, so they can go in with a a broad spectrum of experience that they can draw from.
But as an educator, so I think this is where people get a little hung up on arts education. So as an educator, it doesn't really matter if your child wants to be a professional performer or backstage designer or whatever. Acting and the arts, for me, teach so many life skills that have nothing to do with going into this as a profession.
Exactly.
So why is arts education important, and what skills do you find that kids take away, whether they go into this as a career or not?
Confidence is a big one. If you stood in front of an audience and survived performance, you've got a great deal of confidence. Teamwork. I think a lot of people don't realize what kind of teamwork goes into a play. People say, "Oh, I think my child needs to skip this quarter because they need to go play softball to have teamwork." I say, teamwork, stand down on that stage when somebody forgets their line and you'll know teamwork, because somebody's going to step in and help them out, and they become very close. And, just the ability to speak in front of people. Those are wonderful skills. The little boy, I'll say hi to Kyle right now. Kyle's been with us. He's not a little boy anymore. The longest of anybody that's in our theater right now. He started with us when he was 8, and he's going into high school next year. And he doesn't want to be an actor when he grows up. He wants to be a surgeon, but that's great. But he's still been with us and been a wonderful actor with us and had a great time and made lots of friends. That's another thing, finding your tribe. Our kids become really close friends, even though they don't all go to the same school, and they don't all live in the same neighborhood because Pittsburgh's kind of spread out. But they become really close friends.
Well, and I think the other piece of this is I really do think theater teaches empathy, and so I think for children, teaching, there is no class in empathy or compassion. But theater can teach that.
Definitely, and they learn it from helping each other, but they also learn it from their characters that they play, and it teaches just so many things. It's hard to even think of something it doesn't teach.
So you have at the moment or when I came to visit you, I should say, at the moment, nothing is normal because of COVID. But in 2012, you started the Pittsboro Ensemble Theater, Youth Ensemble Theater. Then a few years later, you opened up the Center for the Arts in Pittsboro and Suite B Theater. So talk to me about the Center for the Arts and all of the things that encompasses, because there are several theater companies under that umbrella, not just Pittsboro Ensemble Youth Theater.
At first, we were vagabonds. We rehearsed in the community house and we performed wherever we could find a place to perform. And then we found this little space and we loved it. So we moved in there. And we started out as just Pittsboro Youth Theater, but we called it the Center for the Arts because we had an art gallery and a few other things. But as time has gone on, I've wanted to branch out into other areas. And one of my pet projects is the Chatham Community Players, which is our adult community theater. And we've been doing that since 2017, I think. And that's been a wonderful experience. And then we also have, of course, the Social Justice Theater, which has only done Columbinus at this point. But we just use that until we find something the kids are really interested in. We'll do another one. But we want to keep it really organic like that. We're not going to just keep doing things to do things and let the kids come up with the topics and the ideas. So it might be a year or two even before we do a social justice theater play. We'll see how that works out. But the Chatham Community Players is a pretty tight-knit ensemble in itself. Some of them are actually parents of the kids that are in the other shows. And we've done, I think, 6 shows now.
So there's a lot happening there, and it really is a darling space. And the area is so dynamic. But you said that one of the reasons you wanted to start this is to really enhance the rich arts heritage that Pittsboro has. Yeah. So talk to me about the community, because if you guys haven't been to Pittsboro yet, you need to take a drive. It's not a long drive. You're not going to the other side of the planet. It's 45 minutes from Raleigh-Cary area. But talk to me about Pittsboro and the arts history, the arts heritage there.
Well, they have a huge visual arts history. When I first came here, it seemed like I could not talk to somebody without finding out that they were either a potter or a painter and we have the Chatham Arts Council and the Chatham Arts Guild that do this big arts tour every year. And so that was huge. They also had a theater history in the past. A wonderful woman named Ellen Bland had done a lot of theater a few years ago, but had stopped doing it when we moved here. And so we just saw a need to fill that area. That area we're in a rural area, but it is still, everybody here seems to run into anyway, seems to have be an artist at heart in some way. And musicians, oh my gosh, some of the best musicians, all different kinds from. Of course, we have the traditional kinds of North Carolina music, but we also have like rockabilly and the most wonderful jazz band. And, David Quick Jazz Band is amazing. And you can go to any of the bars, not during COVID, of course, but normally go to any of the bars or restaurants around here and you will hear some of the best music. And I lived in Chicago for years, so I'm comparing it to some really good people. And I hear great music. So I just felt at home here right away because of all the artists, but I wanted to bring the theater as well. And great restaurants too. Some great culinary artists as well.
I think what surprises people from big cities, I moved here from Miami, you came from Chicago, and I've had friends from larger cities who've come to this area and they're so surprised by the rich arts community that we have here, the theater, the music, like you're speaking, the visual art. So if this area hasn't been a destination for you, once COVID's over and people can travel again, it's not just in Asheville that the things are happening and the arts are happening. It's really happening all over the state. And you have to explore the whole state because there's so much great art here. I was afraid when I moved here that I'd give up theater and dance and culture, and there is more theater and dance than I could possibly cover in any given lifetime.
I agree. It's like, and it's in some ways more accessible than it is in some of the bigger cities. So I felt like it's just like, everybody it's on all the different levels that everyone can afford to see. So that's what I love about the Raleigh, North Carolina area.
So many of our artists and arts organizations and businesses, for that matter, have been affected by COVID because of the shutdown. So how has life in Pittsboro changed? How has the arts there been affected? And how has the Center for the Arts been affected?
I know all the artists are hurting. Chatham Arts Council has been wonderful in helping a lot of the artists, which is really great. I don't know of any of the places downtown that have closed, so that's wonderful. We're all kind of hanging in there. So the way we changed, I'm so lucky that my partner, Craig Witter, saw this coming. And so a couple of months earlier, he kept saying, this is coming. And so we were able to shift within 3 days to going online because I didn't believe him until about a week before, but I made plans anyway. And so we were able to get everybody, we had 5 plays in rehearsal when this started. And we immediately shifted to online within 3 days. So we were able to weather it pretty well. It has not been a stellar year. We're down, 50, 60% of our income, but we've been able to keep it going. And we want, some people have given us donations. Our landlord has helped us out a little bit. We got a MER grant through one of our parents helped us set up for that. So, it's been wonderful that we've had all the help. And I think that kind of most of the people in this area kind of feel that way. It's like we're hanging in there, and with a lot of help from our friends, we've gotten through. And our parents have been so supportive. They've all hung with us throughout it all. So
amazing. And that's a testament, I think, to your tutelage, to your instruction as well. Like I said before, we started the interview, so many people, when I put out the thing that we were doing this tonight, so many parents had contacted us and said, oh, we love Miss Tammy. She's made such a difference. So in addition to switching your rehearsals to virtual, you've done some really creative performing things. You mentioned Heal 2020, which was a drive-in musical. So how have the kids adapted? How have you adapted to performing safely and teaching safely amidst COVID? Because you've got a little bit of a hybrid thing going. You're doing online and in person.
Right. But first, it was a big shift for all of us. And the kids, the hardest part for me at first was that the kids just seemed so down, online. It was hard to get them going, but over time they all rebounded, and Heal was a big part of that rebound. I think I have to give credit to my one of my music directors, Parker Harris, who they did Heal first in Snow Hill, North Carolina, where he's from. He wrote the book for it. And I went to see it, and we drove it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours from here. We drove and watched it, and it was such a wonderful experience. We wanted to bring it back to our kids, and so we did it. The kids were so grateful to it. We mostly met on Zoom, but we met on Saturdays outside in numerous locations, wherever we could find, and practiced and saved. I literally was out there with my little tape measure, making sure everybody was 6 feet apart and everybody had on a mask. And but we had our motto was, I'm old, don't kill Miss Tammy, was our motto. They would stay 6 feet apart. And they did. And but it was, in the end, I thought it would never work out, but oh my gosh, it was such a special experience. I think I cried every single night because of happy tears of joy. Even the night that it was pouring down rain, and the kids just kept going, even though we had a cover over the stage, but they had to keep going out in the rain to get off stage and stuff. So it was quite an experience. And I think that was a big motivator for everybody, just to keep going. Even the kids that weren't in Heal came to see Heal and supported that. And I got everybody excited again. So now in the spring, we're going to do both live stream and in person. So
I love that. You're doing the Descendants, so that'll be very exciting Disney musical coming up. So people need to keep an eye out for that. Yes. You are a teacher. You have a master's degree in education. I have 2 older children at home. Mine are in college. But I become very aware of the emotional toll this pandemic has taken on our kids. Working with kids as you do, and having this experience with them, and really having developed long relationships with them. I feel like once they come to you, they're with you until.
And I'm glad of it.
What is the emotional toll that this thing is taking on our kids, that COVID is, and how can we as the grown-ups around them support them as we navigate this crazy time?
I've seen a lot of changes in a lot of the kids, and it's the ones that are the most outgoing and gregarious that I've seen really take a huge hit. Some of the kids that are a little more introverted are like, hey, I'm happy. They'll tell me that. I'm glad to stay home. But some of the ones that are more outgoing are really, really struggling. And they don't, and some of them will say, well, I don't really like Zoom. But as soon as you get them on Zoom, they'll start opening up and you'll see their smiles come back. And so I think the biggest support is just to don't let them settle. Try to push them a little bit to do fun stuff, even if it is on Zoom. It's like, just give it a try. Just try it. Because once they do, they really do love it usually. And, we just keep talking. One of the things we've instituted is a lot of times I'll get on and I'll see everybody looking sort of gray. And I'll say, wait, let's just talk. How is everybody doing? What's something good you did today? What's something bad that happened last week? And some of them will start talking. And I think that helps a lot. And sometimes I'll just, after rehearsal, I'll leave the Zoom up and I'll turn it down and just let them talk to each other so that they feel like they can just hang out like friends, and little kids are just acting silly and doing crazy stuff. And it doesn't matter, whatever they're doing. And some of them will then take it on and do their own Zooms after that. So they're like, oh, I can do this. I can set up a Zoom call. So I think that has helped everybody, but it is hard. I've seen a lot of kids really change a lot. And I'm hoping, but when we get back in person, they go back to being who they were before. So that's a great feeling.
Kids are resilient, so hopefully they will bounce back. I also feel, though, I'm struck and heartened by the way the community has leaned on the arts to get through this pandemic, whether it's reading a book or watching a live stream or participating in a virtual program like yours. You think the arts can heal us? There's so much that's been divisive in our country politically. Now we are physically, socially divided because of this pandemic. So can the arts play a role in helping heal and helping us come back from this?
It can, whether it's being in the arts or whether it's just watching the arts. I mean, I'm always asking the children to go watch this. I'm going to watch it tonight. You go watch it, because especially the live theater, painting, drawing. I see a lot of my kids getting involved in a lot of visual arts too. I think that's a wonderful thing to get your children to do. Don't worry so much that they're going to miss a year of learning math. I was a math teacher for years. I speak for math teachers. I know it's important, but maybe we can learn something new that we didn't know before. Maybe we can become a more well-rounded community. Maybe we can try new things, and I think the more kids that do that, the better off they're going to be.
And even the grown-ups, because so many, if you look at our Broadway community, so many of the actors have pivoted. I was on a call last night with some people from the Color Purple revival, and one of them is making candles. He's become a candle maker. So it's like, who knew? I know you took up, we follow each other on Facebook as friends. Well, you've taken up Spanish and you enjoy cooking. You said PhD in Zoom.
I'm terrible at Spanish, but I'm trying really hard.
So what has 2020 taught you about being an educator and being an artist?
I think slowing down has been a wonderful thing for me, because we were just moving at 180 miles per hour. And being able to slow down and just look at things, we've reorganized our organization, but also we've been able to look at some of the financial stuff and be smarter about it. But also just, I started writing a play. I don't know if it'll ever see the light of day, but I'm writing one because I have the time to do it, and I always wanted to try. I think all that, just to really slow down and look at and appreciate what you've got. And I think, I hope that I'm going to come out of this a better person, because I had this time of reflection, which I don't, I meditate. I do lots of things that I don't usually have time to do. And I hope to keep those up when things open up again.
I was struck when I came and I interviewed you and Jackie for Columbinus, how really thoughtful and smart and politically engaged Jacqueline was. It gave me hope for the future. And I, like I said, I have my own kids, so I know that they care about the climate, they care about politics. Obviously, in the middle of the pandemic, we had murder of George Floyd. We had this rise up in the We See You White American Theater movement. We had, you're from Chicago. That's where the Not in Our House standards came from, way before the White America that We See You White.
Right.
So how I believe that the kids, this next generation, are the ones that are going to lead us out of this. They're going to teach us. But how have you seen the kids respond to these social events? And do you think that there's going to be some sort of cultural shift as these kids get older, whether it's the Parkland kids telling stories about gun violence, whether it's our kids telling stories about racism and equity and inclusion? Do you think we're going to see a cultural shift in this generation as to the types of stories we're going to see on stage and who's telling them?
I sure hope so. I mean, from the children I know, for sure. I know that they're very culturally aware, and they'll challenge plays. I'll have a play, we'll be reading it, and they're like, wait, that's not that man just told her what to do. She should stand up for herself, or with a racial issue, or a lot of times, LGBTQ stuff has been a big theme with a lot of our kids. So we stop and we talk about it, and sometimes we have to say, you know what, that's just the story, Cinderella, yeah, she married the prince, but sometimes we have to say, let's write, hopefully in the future we'll find a play where she doesn't marry the prince. It'll be great, And so they're always talking about those kinds of things, and always calling me on it. Like, hey, I didn't write the play. So but then find one that doesn't and bring it to me, and we'll look at that. Find one that's better, write one that's better.
create one.
Got one. I always say that I haven't gotten one back yet, but we'll see one day.
So what is next for Pittsboro Youth Theater, and how can the public support what you are doing and what the theater is doing at this time?
Well, as we said, we have 4 shows coming up in the spring, and we are going to do them, and we'll let you know where, sometime. Outside, probably. We would love to be back in our theater, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. We're doing Descendants. Our little kids are doing Goonie Bird Green and the Animal Parade. Our middle schoolers are doing a non-musical version of The Wizard of Oz, and our high schoolers are doing the complete history of theater abridged, which is a hoot. And we're going to be doing them outside and also on live stream. So watch them on live stream. Come to an outside show, which might be a drive-in or might be in person. We're not sure with social distancing. And we have summer camps. We decided assuming that Craig and I get vaccinated, we will have summer camps this summer. And we're doing Frozen is our 3-week intensive. So sign your kids up for this for the summer camps. Come see a show. We do take donations online, but as well. But or just write something nice on Facebook for us. like us on our YouTube channel. That's a big deal. We got lots of stuff on there already. Please like us on Facebook and YouTube.
Absolutely, 100%, and just support local theater, because what artists like you and Craig are doing, it's so important, not just now, but always. So, and I love that you're tackling some of these issues like in Columbinus, because you're tackling them not just with a play, but with a lot of conversation. And I just love that. So, you can visit PittsboroYouthTheater.com. That will take you to the Center for the Arts. That'll take you to Suite B Theater. That will take you to all things that Tammy and Craig are working on, which is so fantastic. Support local theater. And we're at
all of them. We're all of them.
Well, thank you for letting us come on this virtual field trip today. And
I brought my show and tell. Can I show and tell my show and tell?
Oh, yes. I love show and tell.
I told people I was going to do this, so I want to make sure I actually did. So she asked, you said we were going to do show and tell, bring something that's special to me. Yes. And you'll see this is if I hope you can see it well. It's a picture of a magnolia. It's a watercolor of a magnolia. And that is from the very first adult community theater play that we did was Steel Magnolias. And Steel Magnolias, the women that were in that show, I think I only knew one of them when we started, and they have become my nearest and dearest friends. So I wanted to make sure, we call ourselves the Maggies from Magnolia. And so I want to make sure I give a shout out to them and show them that is the piece that means so much to me, because they gave it to me. And that was just a wonderful, wonderful experience for all of us.
I love that. Will you show it to us again? I'm going to make the picture bigger so people can see it.
It has all their signatures on it, all 6 wonderful ladies.
I love it. And it's an art piece. Beautiful.
And it is upside down. Yeah, it's an art piece, and it's a local Pittsboro artist as well. And I can't necessarily, Janet Seaford, I think. Well,
I hope to come and see you in Pittsboro soon when we can all safely get together again. I told you I love The Wizard of Oz, so I'll be checking that out for sure. And the Descendants, the Descendants, Frozen, these are big names. So please support everything Tammy and Craig are doing. PittsboroYouthTheater.com. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. This has been
anytime.
And Kathy just wrote, the Maggies adore Tammy Matthews. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you tuned in late, you can watch from the beginning here on Facebook, or I'll be posting this on the website. It's also streaming on YouTube, so you can see it there. Be sure to follow Pittsboro Youth Theater on YouTube as well. So Google them, or I will find the channel name. I'll find the channel link and I'll post it when I repost this. And I will see you guys next week. We have lots of fun things happening next week on our DU on Stage. I'll be posting that this weekend. So hopefully I will see you all next week. Have a good weekend, Tammy. Stay safe and healthy. Thanks everyone for joining us. I appreciate it.